I'm Jim Check with Ian Burns. We're here with The Really Big Show, our news show that goes every weekday morning at 9 a.m. We took the Thanksgiving day off. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Got a really big show, though, today. The headlines, though, the peacemaker takes center stage, Canada on the wrong side of history, Prime Minister upgraded to president in elbows down moment, say the words, Carney, oil pipeline to the north coast. Is Canada a nation or just a collection of provinces? Economic data does not support the Liberal touts. No austerity measures in upper management of government. Trudeau and Chow compete for cringe moments. You're going to love those. BC Conservatives told to get their shit together. Hey, I had that interview with Gavin Dew. And as bad as David Eby is doing, the Conservatives say we can do worse. How's that? All that and a lot more. I mean, we had a really big show. It is big. We're going to have a tough time getting through it all. But we're going to kick it off right away with the biggest news in the world. And this is a big, momentous occasion. Then we got the 20 hostages. We got a picture of them here from Laura Ingram. All 20 have been returned. All 20 hostages returned in a big moment. Lots of, you can go all over X there. You can see a lot of those reunions there with family. 20 young men, that's basically, and then they got a few of the bodies back, but they're still trying to recover many of the bodies. And also on the other side of that, they did release many prisoners that were taken by the Israeli IDF. Here's the big moment, though. So Trump first went to Israel there, spoke. We'll talk about that in a bit. But here's the big moment in the signing of this. This is in Egypt. Netanyahu was told, he made an excuse not to be there, but I think the Turkish president said if he shows up, he's not coming. So Netanyahu did not show up in Egypt there. Let's watch this, though.
Okay. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up. Okay, thank you. You can use my pen if you want. Have a pen? And use mine? Okay.
I think that's good. We've kind of seen this. Lining, like as he was driving in to the hotel where they're doing all this, there were signs of Trump and the Egyptian president all along the roadway. Also, as he was flying in on Air Force One, Trump's image was on beaches and posters and walls and everywhere. In that hostage square, I think it is, there's even CNN was shocked that there was many people there wearing MAGA hats and all that, and a lot of chants for Trump. So definitely a big moment for the world and a big moment for this administration and their mantra of peace through strength.
Well, he's very happy right now, but it didn't take long for somebody on YouTube there to state the obvious, which is to question how long it's going to last. I mean, right now we've got breaking news coming through, a report that Israel is not going to open up the Rafah crossing into Egypt. It's not going to allow that to happen until Hamas returns the bodies that it said it was going to return and hasn't returned. I mean, the Middle East is very complicated, right? And it's a lot more complicated than Donald Trump understands, I think. Yeah. And when he says things like 3,000 years, that tells you all you need to know. He hasn't got a clue about the history of that region. The Jewish people didn't even exist 3,000 years ago. Not really, not as we understand it. I just think he's in way over his head. He's got a win, and he's very pleased with himself, and he's loving this sycophancy from all the world leaders. But let's wait and see. And I mean, one thing that you can say without any qualification or conditions is, thank God that this disgusting war has, at least for now, finished.
And then also the big one is, like the hostages have been returned. I think that is That is the big one. So they don't have, that as much. And I think, like there's going to be bumps, right? Like, when you're landing an aircraft in stormy waters or, stormy skies, there's going to be some pockets that you have to deal with. But it is progress. Nonetheless, it is progress. And there's the return of the hostages. And it is a sign. The bigger thing, I think the bigger win even is the amount of Middle Eastern countries that signed on to this agreement. That is where I think the real strength is, where regions like Qatar and all that have signed on this, and he's trying to get more people in this Abraham Accord. And that was a big win for him in his first administration. I think those are the real wins. Now, we can't expect Hamas and the IDF just to stand down. I mean, there's going to be some stuff that goes on, I'm sure. But the big wins is much of the funding for this is likely being choked off as well. Because, like a lot of billionaires were living in Qatar there. And a lot of people crediting Netanyahu for going even behind the Americans' backs and bombing Qatar and saying that was a big part of it, where Qatar said, well, we don't really want to be involved in this. And Trump made Netanyahu apologize on the phone there. Yeah, so I mean,
the Qataris are very, very cheeky, aren't they? They can't say that they don't want to be involved. They have one of the most aggressive foreign policies in the region, despite being a tiny little, isthmus or whatever the hell you would call that thing. Mm-hmm. They've interfered in all kinds of wars, including that one. But in the case of the Hamas people being there, they had negotiating teams. Hamas had a team there in Qatar, almost at the behest of the United States and other countries, because Qatar was a place that, that was seen as a kind of negotiating arena. So that I don't know. I mean, the thing is that so many things have happened. It's hard to say what has done it, really, and that kind of mysterious cloudiness, the fogginess, the ambiguity. That's where people like Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, and Mark Carney, that's where they can swim and say, oh, no, well, we contributed to this. It's that kind of like, there's the fog of war, but there's also, I guess, the fog of peace. What has actually brought this peace around? Nobody knows. Well, maybe Donald Trump knows and the big players, but the people at large don't really know what has happened in these negotiations, and we won't know for some time yet.
Marco Rubio alluded to that, and he said maybe one day the truth will come out, and that it will. And I mean, he made it kind of refer to as that it will be a good truth when it finally comes out, but he said for now it won't be out there. And I think Rubio's a straight shooting guy. So, but let's listen to the Prime Minister of Pakistan here. Let's see what he has to say about Trump.
For his outstanding, extraordinary contributions to, first, stop war between India and Pakistan, and then achieve ceasefire along with his very wonderful team. And today, again, I would like to nominate this great president for Nobel Peace Prize, because I genuinely feel that he is the most genuine and most wonderful candidate for Peace Prize, because he has brought not only peace in South Asia, saved millions of people, their lives. And today, here in Sharm el-Sheikh, achieving peace in Gaza is saving millions of lives in the Middle East. Mr. President, I would like to salute you for your exemplary leadership.
Keir Starmer in the background, hand wringing, and I'm not sure what Maloney was doing there. Just like I don't know what she was doing there, but a lot of speeches like that, giving a lot of credit to Trump for bringing this about. A lot of it going to Steve Witkoff as well, right? And Keir Starmer. Don't forget Keir Starmer. Here's a little clip here, not a clip, but Keir Starmer now saying, President Trump, this is your achievement. I thank you for your tireless efforts. Let's not forget that Rubio put out or said just recently that Keir Starmer, Macron, and Carney actually almost derailed the whole peace process by recognizing Palestine just as they were working really hard at bringing peace to the area.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that has to be that's going to have to be dissected over the years. It's probably going to be decades, to be honest, before we get a real clear understanding of what happened there. I mean, at least several years. But it is a strange one, isn't it? I mean, I kind of find it weird that they all just dropped everything and went there.
Well, Carney actually picked
Especially
up the
these
phone
ones,
and
like
says, "Can I come?" You know what I mean? Because he wasn't even invited. He phoned and asked, "Can I come?" They couldn't even get a jet for him, right? So he had to take a charter flight because you know, like it was a last minute thing. You know, he basically picked up the phone and said, "You know, please, may I be in the room?"
yeah, a very, very strange. I have to say, I find it really weird. And Keir Starmer, I mean, the fact that he was like right over his shoulder for that speech, and you could see every little wince, every cringe on his face. I don't know. I mean, I would like to know if that was intentional, putting him there as a kind of contrast. It's like this is who sort of purports to lead the free world, at least morally, as I stand here, having got this peace agreement through. Kind of that contrast.
You know who was absent there? Is where is the UN? This is what they're supposed to do. Yeah. Remember
Good joke.
Anita
I mean,
Anand? Anita
I
Anand at
think
the
the most
UN,
interesting thing,
multilateralism and all that stuff that she.
yeah, the most interesting thing the UN has been involved in the last few years is Donald Trump's speech there a couple of weeks ago, where he just
Ripped him.
defecated all over the organization and then walked
Ripped
out.
him. Yeah. This is from Alan Fry, a former CTV guy, actually, a CTV journalist. This is the, you know, the Toronto Star and that saying, look, Israel and Hamas exchange hostages. And this is how, you know, like even Christine Amanpour, she's now apologized for it. Just, you know, like to kind of like give a feeling that there was hostages on both sides, right? And just, anyway.
It's absolutely appalling, that, isn't it? And I mean, the Toronto Star isn't really a serious newspaper anyway. I mean, it's not like we shouldn't sort of be like shocked and appalled and fire off angry letters. It is the Toronto Star. It's a bit of a kind of parody anyway. It's a bit of a joke anyway. But the fact that anybody could do that, could suggest that, is sad, isn't it? Really. But I suppose the Toronto Star, are they any better? Are they any different from just random people on Twitter that post a viral tweet that says something like this? I mean, what really is the difference?
And I don't know if I'm going to get this pronunciation right, but Donald Trump's speech in the Knesset. I don't know if you watched the whole thing or not, but what I found unusual in that speech was that Netanyahu spoke, and then Trump went up there and, you know, shook his hand, and then they allowed the official opposition to speak. Which is, I never see that in Canada when you have a guest visiting, that they would let the official opposition speak. But they did, which I found interesting.
When you have a special guest, that addresses Parliament, I think, yeah, I have seen that happen, at least in the UK. I don't really know about Canada, though, to be completely honest, off the top of my head. But I've definitely seen it in Britain.
You know Israeli politics better than me, and I believe this is their Speaker of the House here that just made, and we're going to listen into what he has to say.
The world needs more Trumps. You, President Donald J. Trump, are a colossus who will be enshrined in the pantheon of history. Thousands of years from now, Mr. President, the Jewish people will remember you. We are a nation that remembers. Far from being a local struggle, what we are witnessing is a global struggle, a global battle between the forces of extremism, radicalism, and fundamentalism, and those of freedom, liberty, and democracy. What the world needs now is not appeasers who feed the crocodile in the hope that they will be eaten last, like the kind we have seen recently at the UN General Assembly. And by the way, President Trump, your team has checked the teleprompter. It is working beautifully. What the world needs now are more leaders who are brave, resolute, strong, and bold. The world needs more Trumps.
That's good there. I think he was speaking other than this here. This is a little taste here. This is Melissa Landsman there saying, you signed up for the failed experiment in appeasing terror, and history will remember it. And she's talking about the speech that Mark Carney made and the speech that Anita Anand there. They are the ones feeding the crocodiles. And let's listen in. Let's play this clip here. This is after Mark Carney's speech. We might not have it, but anyway, I think we played it in the past there, and it's just Anita Anand.
I think it's just a GIF.
Oh yeah, Anita Anand losing her mind there, doing the seal clap there as Mark Carney. And again, Marco Rubio pointed out that the three of them actually really derailed the peace talks and held it back. So Stephen Harper actually put out a tweet congratulating Trump and his team and a bunch of other world leaders on bringing peace. Even Joe Biden came out and said it, even though he tried to take some credit for it as well. But Bill Clinton came out and congratulated him. And
whose name is missing there, though?
What's that?
Whose name is missing from that list there? From Stephen Harper.
Mark Carney.
Indeed.
Again, here's Trump was trying to recognize everybody at the podium there, and this is an elbows down moment for Canada. Do we not have it? We don't have the clip for it? Yeah, well, let's play that clip there because it's a good hot mic moment. This is off a hot mic.
Thanks. So you going back?
I'll go back. I'm glad you upgraded me to president.
Oh, did I say? Great stuff.
It's good. I started as
At least I didn't say that. Great stuff. That was great. Thanks.
There you go. That's good.
Very, very cringe-inducing. I mean, Trump was very cringy there as well, wasn't he? It suggests, I think that was like a glimpse of Trump behind the scenes, where it wasn't serious, it wasn't angry and aggressive. It was just like, it was almost like in the locker room, wasn't it? As a young lads. He was like, at least I didn't, like patting him on the shoulder.
If you want to look at it, you'd say, this whole governor thing was just a ploy, and Carney was in on this ploy. And you said that in the past, that you said, I'm going to talk really bad about you and just know that I got to win this election, so I'm going to use you as the straw man. And this really adds like a lot of credence to your theory there that Trump was intentionally used as a straw man and Trump was in on it.
And I think one of the kind of tools or weapons deployed by Trump that not many people seem to have realized yet is that he's very selective about what he takes offense to. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed that. Lots of people have noticed it, but there's not much conversation about it. So it really is about realpolitik a lot of the time with Trump. So if he wanted to be upset with Canada now, he could find something. He could easily do it, and he could say, and we have the prime minister, and go back to the election or something like that. He's selective. He chooses it, and that's part of his negotiation tactic, I think, where it's like, I'm really angry, I've been wronged, even though really he's not bothered. Behind the scenes, he's like this, he's giggling, he doesn't care. Yeah. So I think a lot of people they overestimate the extent to which he's emotionally compromised. I think he actually has it more under control than people give him credit for.
The lumber tariffs and the furniture tariffs go into effect today. So more damage to the Canadian economy. This is from Brian Lilly. This is Norman Spector putting this out. Instead of trying to influence Trump, was doing the real work. You signed up for Macron's usual initiative. I mean, that is definitely pretty plain to see that Macron, Carney, and Keir Starmer, they're on the wrong side of history on this one.
Yeah, well, right now we're in limbo, aren't we? Because we don't really know. We can only guess as it stands. It would seem that the position that you just put forward would seem the obvious one, wouldn't it? And I think that's what a lot of commentators are saying. A lot of political figures, people on the outside, are saying that looks quite foolish now in retrospect. Or even at the time, people were saying this is a foolish thing to do. But because of this, the fog of peace, Mark Carney and his sycophants, Keir Starmer, Macron, all the rest of them, they can still claim, for now, don't know for how much longer, but they can still claim, oh no, like that played a part. That was a part of bringing us to this peace. But once we have some sort of concrete information about the negotiations, I don't know. I have a sense. My money is on that disappearing. The possibility of them being able to claim that they helped.
I think that they also look like the three blind mice, or the three people sitting in the kids' table, and all those things. Like they definitely look weak in this, and they look weak even in showing up there. Basically, trying to say they were part of this, trying to look strong. Well, at the same time, what the real thing is, they look weak in this, right? So especially after the statements that Mark Carney and Nita Nan made at the UN there, where they were trying to talk tough about multilateralism and all this thing, and they basically were sticking sticks in the Americans' eyes about how the world order has changed, and then like the real reality of it is they're right there. Basically Canadians have been used as a ploy, I think. I did do an interview though, and these are the important things. Is Carney, say the words, say the words you're going to do a pipeline, because either Canada is a nation or a collection of provinces. You and I have said this many times, and I think you've said it many times. Is it a nation? Because Mark Carney should be saying that there's pipeline. I did an interview with the BC finance minister, and we talked about the pipeline to the northern coast of British Columbia. And, she came up with many reasons, and even said that there is not even there won't be a market for oil. A lot of things to say in that. It's an interview well worth listening to. But British Columbia, according to the court challenges in the past, doesn't have the right to block a pipeline, because that's where the nation stands. But Mark Carney has also made statements, as is Tim Hodgson, that they want agreement from everybody. So which is it, right? It's very unclear as to what it is. But then they asked Dawn, the person in charge of, I can't remember her last name, Dawn there, in charge of the projects office, do they have a veto? And she, pressed, and she said no. So, I mean, again, confusing language from the Prime Minister, Tim Hodgson, and the Special Projects Office. And then, obviously, from the BC NDP.
At this point, though, I think, when Carney first came on the scene, we had a very good laugh, didn't we? And again and again and again, it was a joke that kept giving, his inability to speak English in, even at a kind of elementary school, high school standard of fluency, like quite appallingly bad at the language, his native language. And we had so much fun, and we joked about it, and we thought, and I'm sure a lot of people thought, gee, look at this idiot. But I think now we have to just say, don't we, that it's by design. It's on purpose. Obviously, he has been captured by a lot of the sort of foolish, trendy lexicon of the international set, and he does say lots of stupid words quite seriously, like catalyzing and things like that. And he doesn't know how to pronounce certain words and makes himself look like a fool. But the reality is, when he again and again and again and again comes out with a sort of incomprehensible word salad when he's asked about pipelines and oil, that's on purpose. He's clearly doing that on purpose. So if you're confused, as everyone else is, then his plan, or the plan of the Liberal Party HQ, upper tiers, is working. That's what they want. They want you to be confused. The only question really is why? Why do they want you to be confused?
Daniel Smith has made it clear there's $9 trillion of wealth beneath the feet of Alberta, and they can't get it to market. And then if we're actually a nation, then the nation should allow provinces to get their product to market. And that's her big thing. Is like how Jason Kenney has been on there calling David Eby a mud hutter. I mean, but they have everybody fighting. They talk about Team Canada, one Canada, one team, and that they're going to take away the interprovincial trade barriers. Basically, now you have Alberta fighting with BC in an all-out cat fight. You have them fighting over this pipeline, which Daniel Smith shouldn't even talk to David Eby, I don't think, and let the courts decide. And then you also have now, you're going to have Scott Moe and Wab Canoe going at Doug Ford, because China just dropped the bomb. We're going to talk about it later on canola versus EVs.
And China also dropped another bomb, which is on the export of
oil,
rare earths.
And oil.
Rare earths.
And oil.
But the point is, though, I mean, the geopolitical scene has changed dramatically, hasn't it? I mean, Justin Trudeau, to an extent, he could get away with his anti-resources policies, or what some called anti-resources policies, because the world was relatively peaceful during his time as prime minister. But I feel like now, Russia, it's a cliche now, probably sick of hearing it, that they weaponized energy. They did. The Russians did do that. And they thought that it was going to be enough to win. But the Americans came to the rescue with LNG. And I think the world has just changed. I think the international leaders have looked at that, and they've a lesson has been forced on them. Whether or not they've learned it, I don't know. But that's why you're having this conversation now where it's like, we've got to do it. It's almost kind of, if we want NATO to function, if we want Europe to be a going concern, we have to give them stuff, and that includes oil and certainly gas. At the minute, it seems the argument is a lot of people are saying, all right, gas, yeah, but no oil. That seems to be the point that we're at now, is where we have to get to the oil bit as well. And I think a lot of people are just playing silly buggers, aren't they, and refusing to acknowledge reality.
Because LNG is just part of the equation, right? The oil is for diesel, it's for plastic, it's for a ton of things. LNG is just basically for heat and energy, right? That, like electricity you can create with it. But in that statement you made that the Americans came to the rescue with LNG, that was asked of Canada. Canada could be in a different driver's seat right now. That was asked of Canada. And the Trudeau Liberals said no to the Germans, said no to the Japanese, said no to the South Koreans, said no to the world, and said no to the Canadian prosperity. That's what they said. That is a fact right there, too. They said no to Canadian prosperity.
It's rather ironic, I think, isn't it? That Canada is, you often see in a press release sent not so long ago, I think it might even have been yesterday, Mark Carney or his office pointed out that Canada's the #1 donor to Ukraine per capita, sort of by the number of Canadians. I mean, look at that. It's about $20 billion, isn't it? But look at that. Who do you think benefited Ukraine more and the cause of Ukraine more? Was it Canada giving $20 billion, or was it countries like the US and Norway as well, who kept Europe going so that Europe could keep Ukraine going during this war? I mean, who do you think played a bigger role there? I just, these people present themselves. There was a time, it's gone now, but there was a time where that was almost the #1 facet of their identity in the likes of the Liberal Party, is like, I'm pro-Ukraine. Like, I want Ukraine to survive. I want Ukraine to win this war. If that's true, looking back, I would like to know, don't you think maybe it would have been a better idea to have helped Europe fuel itself and Ukraine when Russia tried to turn off the taps?
The Liberals have been, what the guy said in the Israeli government there, the Knesset, that it's the virtue signaling and putting the flags on your X profile and the nonsense, but not the reality of the situation that actually takes strength and leadership. This is from IceCap Asset Management. This again shows, and we've said it a zillion times on the show, if we've said it a million, that Canada is one of the richest resource nations in the world. And here's all the stuff that's there available. We are our own worst enemy. It is not Donald Trump holding us back. It is the policies of the last decade. And Chrystia Freeland said it herself. They spent or wasted the last decade on virtue signaling and identity politics. That says it itself. Catherine McKinnon just coming out and saying the same thing about Trudeau, that it wasn't about policy, it was about his ego. And this is what we get. And it doesn't seem to have changed much. It's the same stuff. We don't get clear direction, because right now, we're going to hear about it later. One of the things, even CNN and all the detractors of Trump says he speaks in clear language. Mark Carney does not speak in clear language. And you said he intentionally confuses people. And so how, if you want to invest billions of dollars in Canada to get a mine going, to get a pipeline, where do you find certainty if the message is so confusing?
Yeah, and we're talking at the same time about the need for foreign investment. The glorious FDI that everybody worships at the altar of. You're not going to get foreign investment without certainty, or stability. What stability is there in Canada's natural resources sector? I mean, a bit more now, let's be fair. Quite a lot more now that Mark Carney's in power, but still, it's not good enough for people to risk $40 billion or something like that, unless they're absolutely certain. I mean, talking about oil in particular there.
And here's the other thing, you know, like the Trudeau Liberals and this Liberal government continues to do it because they haven't lifted the emissions cap and all this thing. Here's the thing, trees per capita, look at this, trees per capita. Guess who's leading in that regard? As soon as we put it up here. There you go, who's that? There's one thing we do lead in, trees per capita.
I can't believe Australia is higher than Brazil. Surely not.
And anyway,
I always thought Brazil had had the most trees, or Russia at least.
Tim Hodgson was the energy minister, was just recently touting that American carbon capture company coming to Canada to bleed Canadian taxpayers for 75-cent tax credits on the dollar, and then the ability to tax our oil companies. And here is a better carbon filter than any of them. And yet Canada continues to suppress itself. No other nation does what we do. And that's been said time and time again. Those are facts. No other nation. Saudi Arabia doesn't do it to its oil production. Norway doesn't do it. We do it. We do it. We intentionally cause self-harm.
And what's the justification? I mean, you can talk about the reality of why this happens. And it actually comes down to political machinations, in my view. But what's the justification given? It's, we got to stop the wildfires and the floods. So what we have to do is bring our emissions down in Canada. Broken record time from me, but doesn't matter what Canada does. We can't change that. But that's never acknowledged. It's not even part of the conversation. We just live on in this delusional world where Canada can have an effect on global temperatures and global CO2 emissions.
And here's another chart that tells you everything you need to know about faith in Canada. Issuance of bonds, and who's the buyer?
Canada.
Bank of Canada buying Canada bonds. Nobody else. Tells you everything you need to know.
It's the snake eating its own tail.
Tells you everything you need to know. And when did this start? Oh, it looks like it's a weird time. The suppression of our natural resources. I mean, we can pull up chart after chart after chart after chart. Data after data after data. And here's the bad thing that's happening. I did that interview with an economist, and he said an economic winter is coming for Canada. And I guess, how do you prepare for it? Then we're trying to get some other interviews here, what to do when an economic winter comes. And also, some people may be fleeing to sunnier climates. There's a lot of economists out there now talking that the Canadian dollar, when this budget drops, the Canadian dollar could drop with it if there's not a clear plan on how to get GDP going and how to get some of those resources out there. And a drop right now, the Canadian dollar looks weak. I don't have it to pull it up. Maybe we'll bring it up tomorrow. But the Canadian dollar looks weak. It's at around the 71-cent mark, and it looks like it's trending lower. And it's looking for a direction. And if it crashes through 70, you may see 62 in a hurry. And what that means is inflation for the average consumer. That means everything you buy, which most things are priced in US dollars. So a 62-cent loonie would mean more at the grocery store, more at the gas pump, more everywhere, right? So
to answer this guy's question, though, in the tweet, does that mean, would that be the moment that Canadians reject the Liberals?
I don't know what it takes.
I don't know what can be done to separate that marriage. It's so strong.
I will say this, that a lot of it relates to Canada does not have a free and independent media of outlets like ours, smaller regional outlets. Whereas, and we're trying to do some stuff here on nationally, so if you could share this and that. But CBC is definitely an arm of the government. And that is, if I had to point to one thing that helped them over the line, it would definitely be the CBC. And they got a $150 million raise after they won the election. That was promised during the election, which you would think would be election interference. And what did the executive do right away? They gave themselves all a big fat raise, like, we won. That in itself, there should be an investigation into that. Because one, what are they doing promising the CBC money during an election? And then two, it's very biased. And three, then they basically, not for the reporters, they actually help themselves first. Imagine that, hey?
But I mean, yeah, I'm sure if you go onto CBC's website or listen to a radio broadcast from CBC, they will have interviewed a whole series of experts that say that all of this was above board, and that is actually really good for Canada's media landscape. I just don't know who to believe.
I just went to the CBC website. I don't know if Nick wants to do it or not, but that what's on the above the fold is Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl, because Canadians need to know that. We need them to get out Beluga Trainer, fired. Signing of the Gaza peace deal marks emotional day for Canadians with family in region. Or, you know what I mean? Gamer finds Minecraft, right? Like, where's the budget? Where's the economy? Where's the stuff that matters? They feed you pablum and nonsense. That's what they feed you. They feed you a steady diet of garbage and anti-American stuff, and just
pro-liberal.
Literally.
Look at that nice little puff piece on Anita Anand. Pragmatism and positivity.
Yeah, just basically like we did it. I think it was last week we did it. You went to the PMO's office, and they were almost identical stories.
Comical, really, isn't it?
$1.55 billion.
If you want consolation, the only consolation is that we are probably, I would say, we probably represent about 20% of the CBC's audience right now, being on this website. Like, nobody cares what they say. But as we've said lots of times, it can still be consequential in elections, because the people that do care what CBC thinks tend to be older people. Older people tend to vote, you know, at very high levels and turn elections, because there's quite a lot of them.
And it also distorts the politicians because they read the echo chamber and it reinforces their thing. Yeah. That's what they don't see the reality. They don't walk amongst the people. They just listen to that echo chamber, and they believe, I think, that they believe their own garbage.
It's part of the information space, isn't it? And it certainly gets into the ear of even people that don't care what CBC has to say. It gets into their ear, and it forms part of the information zone, or whatever you want to call it.
The Liberal is touting that Canada will have the strongest economy in the G7. Well, the IMF says, no, you don't. The IMF puts it almost like in the dead last category.
It says, no, you don't, and no, you won't. Either, not next year. But it's, I mean, it's a little bit of a cop-out, in it, because Spain isn't in the G7. And Spain, you know, whatever they're doing seems to be working quite well. I mean, they've had some great economic results. Spain's way higher, but Spain is not in the G7. So if you discount all of these countries that have quite high growth rates, then Canada would be third this year, and then second next year. And this year would be behind Britain, which is, I find just so hard to believe. It's crazy, but
Justin Trudeau was one of the people that got Russia kicked out of the G8, and and Trump says that was part of the reason why this war in Ukraine started. But just like the S&P index and the Dow index and all those things, they might kick Canada out and say you guys are dragging down the index.
Well, Canada is already the junior partner, isn't it, in the G7? It's already the little guy.
Well, again, self-harm, because we won't tap our resources, which makes no sense. We have some of the best miners, some of the best mining technology, all of that stuff. And where do they go? They go elsewhere. I've interviewed somebody just recently, and they have projects in Canada and projects in the States. Where are they mining? Nevada. Trilogy Metals just got an investment for the U.S. government. Where are they mining? Alaska. Alaska again. Where are they mining? Alaska.
You say we've got all these great companies, all these great miners and all the rest of it, experts. We've also got some of the nicest beggars in the whole world. Like these delightfully pleasant beggars, like the Germans and the Japanese. Yeah. Don't like. It's not like the people coming and asking us for are like nasty enemies, like people who are gonna like. It's not like North Korea coming asking for our resources. It's our best chums. And they're very reliable. They're very, they've offered that FDI, haven't they? They've even, like, the Germans even offered to build an LNG export facility, didn't they? It's like, come on.
And not only, and this is one of our YouTubers here watching here, not only is our investment capital fleeing, it's our brain capital that is leaving as well. And I watched some of this stuff, and this is a key point, if people want to pick up on this key point. You know, they got Evan Solomon, the failed fired journalist and art dealer for Mark Carney there. He's heading up AI, and he's traveling across the country to talk about our AI strategy, getting input from people, which makes no sense. Even if they came up with an AI strategy, where do you think Canada fits right now in getting NVIDIA chips, GPUs? Where do you think? Because that's what you need to get into this AI war. NVIDIA, you need the NVIDIA GPUs. Where do you think we fit in that list? Do you think Jensen Huang is just like, oh, Canada, you're asking for chips. Yeah, we're gonna load you up.
The thing is, we could let's talk about comparative advantage again. Mark Carney's favorite phrase. We could theoretically attract the likes of Nvidia and some of the big boys if we played to our strengths, which would be cheap energy. But how do we do that? We have to build energy infrastructure. And I don't mean Adrian Dix right now is like, what? Energy infrastructure? I don't mean
windmills,
wind turbines. I don't mean wind turbines. I mean reliable energy.
You know, because anybody can build windmills. You know, it's what does Canada have? What's the assets? If we look in the storeroom, if we look behind us in the storeroom, what do we have? It's not windmills. Anyway.
I mean, hydro. Hydro is great. Hydro is like this beautiful gift from the heavens. But
20 years later,
we've tapped into a lot of that hydro. Yeah, and I feel like now that's there, that's great. That's going to continue for God knows how long. It's a great resource. But right now, if you want energy quick, really, it's LNG, isn't it? That's the great gift.
The oil, LNG, coal, all those things. Right now, just like, here's Melanie Jolie. I'm sure if you've got billions of dollars, even millions of dollars laying around, this is going to strike so much confidence in you. You're going to basically open your wallet and just let it rain. Here, let's listen into Melanie Jolie.
Rachel Aiello reports on the plan and the potential pitfalls.
Today, Industry Minister Melanie Jolie said the federal government has a vision to bring Canada into a new industrial era. It's a three-pronged strategy: protect tariff sectors, create new jobs, and draw in global investment and talent by building up key Canadian industries.
We know that we can build the best ships, the best planes, the best drones, and have very strong supply chains across the country. We can have researchers, engineers, and welders at work. We will use the power of procurement to create jobs. Because ultimately what I've learned is companies rather have contracts than subsidies from the government.
Detailing how she and Prime Minister Mark Carney...
You know, like I could spend the next 4 hours picking that apart. Just we can build ships. Why did we sell? Why did we give away Canadian tax dollars to China to build ships?
She also
we can
said
build
the best
planes.
ships.
We can build planes. We can't even make a decision on the F-35s. Never mind build planes, right? We can build drones. I don't know. I don't even know.
It's really hard, isn't it?
And again, Canadians would rather have contracts and subsidies. They've crippled industries and made them beg for subsidies. Look at the media industry. If you cut off all the subsidies today, what would be left in media in Canada? Like the big ones. They'd be dead. They'd be done.
There would be a revolution, wouldn't there? It would be transformative, I think. To the extent that you would really notice it, wouldn't you, as the average citizen?
Look at global news, like Chorus Entertainment. Their stock, they own over $1 billion and plus in debt. Their stock's 9 cents, and they're going to try and finance it with share issuance. I mean, they live off subsidies. All of them live off subsidies. Free the media, repeal Bill C-18, and stop funding media. And if you have a government that has to give out all the contracts and everything, that sounds a lot like Venezuela and Russia and all those places where everybody relies on the government. That always works out. Take again, look at East Germany and West Germany. When the Second World War was ended, they cut that in half. Look at the progress of East Germany and look at the progress of West Germany. You can do that again with Vietnam. You could do that again with Korea. And then you could look at Venezuela, which is the richest country in South America. And it's basically, a lot of people lost 98% of their wealth after socialism took over, and they basically nationalized everything. I don't know how many lessons.
People lost their lives as well and lost their homes.
Yeah, how many lessons do you need? But apparently not enough. But I was going to play this next clip of Jolie, but it's the same stuff. She just repeats the same thing. Like she was actually reading off a card there. You can see she's looking down to see what the next point is she's going to say in that last one. But this is, well, actually, let's play it because this one tells you basically how the CBC basically is just their town crier.
Of that, but fundamentally, in terms of creating jobs, what we need to do is we'll have a new defense industrial strategy, which will increase the potential of great jobs for people in different sectors. And my last point is we want to build more great Canadian companies. We have great Canadian companies that have influence in the world. What we need more. We need to scale them up, and we need more.
That's
of that.
good.
What are the
Listen to Rosie there. Yeah.
I just don't know what it is with Melanie Jolie. I mean, my instinct is that she's out of her depth. But I don't know. Is it something else? Is something else going on in her
But what
world?
CBC is saying, like you say all these things, you've had 10 years. You've had 10 years, done nothing. Our greatest asset is our energy, our oil, our mineral resources. What have you done to do anything? Like you talk about Canada needs to have more influence. Why do we need to have influence? We just need a great economy so that people can put food on the table. What's this world influence that you're chasing, right? Like what world influence? We've embarrassed ourselves on the world stage.
You wouldn't want Melanie Jolie to go to a conference in somewhere like Indonesia or something like that and not be respected, would you? You wouldn't want that to happen.
They've embarrassed Canada on the world stage over and over again. And this is what they've done. Here's Anita Anand put this out this weekend. On Thanksgiving when people couldn't even afford turkey, a lot of people couldn't even afford to get turkey. This is what she put out. We're protecting the families that rely on making life more affordable for Canadians. Saving families with 2 children, $800 a year through the National School Food Program. That's an embarrassment for a nation as rich as Canada, that we need a school food program because the parents can't feed their kids at home. It's not something to brag about. Renewing Canada's Strong Pass. It's a coupon. It's literally a coupon. You get in free if you go with your parents. Kids get in free if you go with your parents. It's literally a coupon. This is the stuff they're bragging about. This is what they've done. How long has it been? 6 months? 6 months of this. And this is it, a coupon. And then introducing automatic tax filing for 5.5 million Canadians so they can get the GST credit. I mean,
that's been on the menu for years, hasn't it?
This should be so far down on the list because it's already been done a long time ago. It's because the CRA gets your T4 stuff. What? This should be like number 753 if you want to brag about it. Not the top 3 things.
The food program is consequential and that costs quite a lot of money. But the other two are just, I mean, one of them is kind of like, it's like a bureaucratic. That's almost like an email that should have been sent around the CRA staff, isn't it? Rather than announced by the Prime Minister.
Absolutely ridiculous. But that's all they got.
The kind of the strong pass is the kind of strong pass. That's like an advert on Twitter or something or on Facebook. That's what that
coupon. It's
should really be.
It
should be like an advert in a newspaper. That's what that should be, rather than like, look what we're doing for Canadians.
It's absolutely, this is what they have. This is what they're bragging about. This is it. Here you go. And this is, maybe this will get, Vasi Kapela is one of the better journalists on the national stage, but she's finds herself alone in that space, other than you and I. But let's listen in on what Vasi Kapela has to say here.
Sign yet that this will be a quid pro quo, that if in fact we do remove those tariffs on Chinese-made EVs, the ambassador from China told me explicitly China will remove their tariffs in a commensurate fashion. Have a listen to it.
So if Canada removes the unilateral unjustified tariffs on Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly. And if the EV tariffs are removed, then China will also remove the tariffs on the relevant products of Canada.
I also had the chance to talk to the ambassador about the possibility of more Canadian oil and gas going to China. TMX, for example, LNG projects in BC, all of that is aimed at diversifying our markets away from the United States and sending more oil and gas to China. The question is, though, if, for example, we were to double that and have another pipeline that goes out west, is there enough demand in China to take all that extra oil? The ambassador seemed to indicate that there is.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, you wouldn't want to build a pipeline on the promises of China anyway, would you? That's just a daft thing to say.
But one of the
I find it
comments
funny
here,
that he's the ambassador. He's the ambassador to Canada. He doesn't even speak English. That is so funny. That is such a flex from China. They love to do that kind of thing, which I just find amusing. And I just wanted to quickly point out somebody's totally failing to get it here. Our good friend Lightning Rod, who says a quarter of Canadians might love to have a coupon to take their families camping. It's not about whether it's obviously it's quite. Generally speaking, it's quite benign. I don't think either Jim or myself have said it's a bad thing. The thing that we're saying is we're in a bit of a crisis, to quote Mark Carney. We're in a massive crisis. It's not necessarily what should be the priority in these sort of dangerous times.
It's not the coupon that's the problem, because it should be free all the time. It shouldn't be a coupon that you get. In a lot of places in Europe, museums are always free. So the problem is, these are the priorities that the Liberals have accomplished. This is what they've accomplished so far. This is it. When all this wealth is beneath our feet, and then somebody also said a lot of Canadians, their whole family makes less than $65,000. I worked as a mine site controller. Everybody on that mine site was almost making six figures. Our resource sector has been suppressed. More people need to be working in the resource sector. There is good money in our resource sector. More taxes, better hospitals, better healthcare. Everything comes from more money. Look at rich nations. Look what they accomplished. Look at the Sovereign Wealth Fund in Norway, $300,000 per capita there. That's the difference, right? It's not that there's a coupon, and I'm talking about that it's a bad idea to have a coupon. It shouldn't be. They shouldn't charge you to go in the museum in the first place. What they should do is figure out how to get some benefit, how to utilize what we have to the benefit of Canadians. That's what they should do. And here he goes. Some people have figured it out, though. When we look at upper management with government, here's another one here. Remember Carney said that everybody has to look for cuts in their departments? Not this guy. This is the $343,000 a year president of the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission has awarded himself an 85% increase in his travel and hospitality budget. Why not, right? Why not? And here's a coupon for you to go to a museum. And meanwhile, here's a credit card. Go crazy. He said an internal memo acknowledged an elevated risk of exposure after cabinet promised to cut unnecessary spending. He said, I'm not cutting anything. The Tremblay approved an increase in travel and hospitality budget from $100,000 to $185,000. That's his travel and hospitality budget.
It's pretty nice, that, isn't it?
And Canadians, and here it is, Lightning Rod. We're fighting over a coupon. And here it is. They want to increase their travel budget from $100,000 to $185,000. This increase included $53,000 for international travel. It would be okay if they were doing tons of nuclear stuff, but what? Show me what's been done.
I mean, on the face of it, it's a very important job, isn't it? But that doesn't mean that's not enough, is it? It's not an excuse to have such a huge increase in your expenses.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And then the cabinet since 2023 repeatedly said they promised to cut travel and hospitality budgets. Not this guy, though. He needs more. And then this is our famous minister here, Public Safety Minister, Gary Anand. I can never pronounce his last name. Anand, you say it.
Ananda Sangari.
There you go. Confirms budget has yet to fulfill an April election promise to hire more police and border guards. And then his excuse is, I'm not responsible for hiring. That's just his cabinet. Washing his hands. As the Minister of Public Safety, I'm focusing on ensuring the safety and security of our country. How does he still have his job after that leaked internal thing? You know what I mean? Like, how does he still have his job? That is just that shows you that Mark Carney doesn't even take any of these scandals seriously. Look at all the scandals under the Trudeau. Nobody loses their job. This is another one. Just more of the same.
It's it reminds me of you highlighted that GB News interview, didn't you, from England, where it's like, how many houses have you built or whatever, and he didn't know the number.
Yeah.
But Ananda Sangari, our good friend there, he's not going to be asked that question in that way, is he? If, like, when he reveals his ignorance of something that he probably ought to know.
And he says, you promised 1,000 new border officers for Canada borders. How many have you hired? We're in the process of ensuring 1,000 new, in the process. Everybody's in the process. You do none, we're in the process, right? He says, how many have you hired? RCMP don't know how many of the 1,000 officer promised were hired. Just the number. And just on and on and on. And just like, and then he goes on to say at the end of all this going around in circles, I'm not responsible for hiring. What is he responsible for? I guess he's responsible to give that guy gets busted with his gun thing, he'll pay the fine and buy the gun and make sure that
he's responsible for bailing out his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's responsible as well for cleaning up that mess, trying to salvage his reputation by doing the rounds on TV, trying to just say, it's nothing, it's nothing.
Softball interviews, right? Let's play this clip here on this border bill. Roman Barber here. Let's listen to what he has to say first, and then we'll talk about it a bit.
It's nice to be able to deliver some good news, finally. Roman Baber, Conservative Member of Parliament, the Liberals are backing down on Bill C2, that's the Strong Borders Act. You remember that Conservatives had serious objections about opening mail without a warrant or using a backdoor to snoop on the activity of Canadians online without a warrant. Well, we learn now that the Liberals will not be able to get it through. They will have to bifurcate, to separate the bill in two. They will be introducing a new border bill on Friday. But this is a huge win for our Conservative team and leader Pierre Poilievre to defend the civil liberty of Canadians. I am really, really pleased with this result. Roman Baber, speak to you soon again. Bye.
That's good.
It's nice to be able to.
No. We're just going to leave that one there.
Well, I mean, I would say we are aware, aren't we? A lot of fentanyl precursors come through the mail, don't they? It's terrible. But whether that justifies effectively, changing almost like the Constitution, almost changing the kind of liberties that you're entitled to as a citizen. Yeah, that's where the clash has come, isn't it?
It is getting a bit late, so we're going to try and go through some of this stuff quicker here. Required income versus minimum wage, and this is one bedroom affordability by city. We're just going to put some of these up here. Supposedly, in North Vancouver, you need a required annual income of $96,000 just for a one bedroom apartment there. And Kelowna is on the second page there. Kelowna comes in at, you need an income of $73,000 to for a one-bedroom apartment. They're starting to fall here in Kelowna, though. They're starting to fall. I know I've talked to some people that rents are starting to fall. And even to the point where the vacancy rate is getting fairly high here. So I think we might see
St. John's looking good.
Yeah. Again, I've a lot of people in St. John's are working in much of the resource sector, what is left of the resource sector here in Canada. I worked at a mine site in northern Manitoba as a controller. And here's our friend Stephen Guilbeault, the Heritage Minister. Feds detail new radio rules. Federal regulators propose changes to radio license because the industry enters its second century, including the issue of long-term permits and approval of new 50-watt commercial stations. Radio is in a period of transition. No shite. That is obvious. Like there's some cars now being sold without radios in them because, there's not a lot of people listening to radio anymore. So, there's so many other alternatives, right? That regulators also propose to expand a new class of developmental licenses currently limited to startups like campus radio stations at 5-watt transmitters. Modifying the process for developmental stations could make licenses more accessible. And, like I would say Steve Jobs in the iPhone basically really put the nail into radio there, because you can get everything: Spotify, Apple Music. I don't know, like there's so many.
And it's
different
hard,
ways.
isn't it, when you're listening to something on the radio and it's like ads, and then it's like a song that you don't like. It's kind of hard to justify. It's like, why am I wasting my time? I'll just put music on I know I like.
So private commercial stations comprise 81% of the radio market. Current license number 747 stations, 628 FM, and 119 AM stations. The industry payroll totals about and this is falling a lot, 6,781 employees according to Feb 11 stats. The private commercial sector overall reported $1.1 billion in annual revenues, and that falls every year with a growing tax after loss since pandemic. So, I mean, it's an industry losing money, 72 million industry-wide losses. The traditional media sector in Canada and almost everywhere else in the world is going through a very difficult time with the arrival of online platforms and advertising that have moved. And Bill C-18 has crushed local independent media outlets like ours that have figured it out. But then they came along and took our audience away that we earned serving our community, over 200,000, took it away, Facebook and Instagram. And they took that away from everybody in the news outlets. And it's been devastating, devastating and crippling, and made more outlets go with the begging bowl. Like I said, most aren't viable right now. If they cut off those subsidies to so many of these outlets like Global and the rest of them, I mean, even Bell Media closing. How many? They sold a bunch of stations where it used to be $1 million just to buy a license, a radio license, just to buy the license. I think they sold like 11 stations for $1 million plus to take over the debt. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just,
no.
There's just, it's completely different. And the government, again, goes in there to interfere. Does it make it better? Do you think Bill C-18 has made it better?
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone does really, do they? Except Stephen Guilbeault. I think his quote there is brilliant, though, where he says, they're having a very difficult time with the arrival of online platforms and advertising budgets that have moved, for example, from local newspapers and local radio and television to the web. So that, an example of that happening would be the federal government, which spends money on Facebook rather than
during the election. Stephen Guilbeault,
spent
money on Meta instead of the local newspaper and local television. Stephen Guilbeault spent money on Meta.
Just amazing. While denying the ability for newspapers in this country to use Meta, he decided to pay for the privilege.
We got the number from January to March. It was over $5.5 million they spent. And then we asked for the number to update the number. And now they've decided that we can't have the number because it's embarrassing. We can't have the number till January of 2026. They'll give us a number till when? You know what I mean? Like they're going to delay. And this is what they do. Everything is under smoke. Everything is under the cover of darkness. This is what we get. And here, like rents are coming down, and now immigration. Again, the immigration policy was for the benefit of the few, the expense of the many. Lots of developers made out like bandits, and they sold condos, like little box condos for in Toronto and that. They sold them like crazy. Now, small landlords ponder their future after foreign student cuts. We've seen this from the colleges that were. Remember that we did that? I think it was on Friday, wasn't it? That one Contestego, $640,000 a year salary for some small, college that nobody knows about. That's how much he's making, and his defense of that is, well, that's what they pay me, and I take my job seriously. I would take it serious too. And then we're on to some of the cringe for the Canadian politics, and here's Olivia Chow. She is gonna be, I don't know, like if you compare her to what Elizabeth Warren in the States, but she's got cringe going on. Let's listen. She's like a dancing queen, though. Here she goes, breaking it out again. Yeah, you can turn it off there before you get YouTube copyright thing. But she's how many dances has she done this year alone?
Seems to be her primary means of communication.
Is that, like when she's looking at when people make invites, it's just like, we need this, there's a problem over here, I'm not going to that. Dance. Put me down for dance. I'm in. You had me at dance.
Yeah, I don't know many people that are very impressed with her, I must say. But clearly, somebody must be. She's won elections.
And then Trudeau's making the rounds out there. Trudeau and Katy Perry. Remember we showed that picture? Must have been like 3-4 months ago where they were having sushi together. It turns out they've embraced each other here. And you know, like there's a bunch of people defending Trudeau. Leave him alone. He's done so much for Canada. And then this guy's pointing out what he's done for Canada. You know, we got this huge deficit, a hidden carbon tax, emerging Alberta constitutional crisis, a collapsing economy, rocketing unemployment. And yeah, and then he goes off, sails off into the sunset, literally there, sails off into the sunset with a big bag of cash. And we got a bunch of Canadians that couldn't even afford to have a proper Thanksgiving. But hey.
He's having a good time anyway. It is a, obviously this is like gossip magazine stuff, isn't it? And it's kind of crass. But I have to say, it confirms a lot of people's suspicions about Justin Trudeau, I feel.
The Department of Health has completed a focus group. I don't know why they needed a focus group for this. Testing long-studied food labels intended to cut Canadians' consumption of sugar, salt, and fat. The food industry has complained that new labeling regulations take effect will cost them $500 million. Imagine that, eh? People may not eat it. Like, again, if you need the label on there that said this is full of sugar and it's bad for you, like read the directions on the cereal. You need a label, like you just flip it over. Typically, like some of them, sugar is the first ingredient. Never mind the second ingredient. It's like corn sugar.
Yeah. Sometimes the corn isn't even real corn either. It's like some sort of
modified,
weird synthetic,
blah 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 blah
modified.
Cereal has got to be the worst offender. Like, I mean, they sell this stuff for just absolute lunacy in prices, and it's basically sugar. And if you ground it down into a powder, it would barely fill the bottom like fifth of the box. You're basically buying a box of air and sugar. I guess the air is the best part of it, though. But and this is what the label's going to look like here.
Cereal.
They're going to put this label in: high in saturated fat, sugar, and sodium. Got a little label there for you.
Yeah. Is it going to be black and white though? That's I'm sure they're happy about that, because if it was in like red or something, then it would be scarier for them.
More than half of the prepackaged foods in grocery stores are have high nutrients of concern. Nutrients, I don't even think they use that word, nutrients. Sodium, sugar, saturated fat. Evidence is clear. So here's my shopping tip for everybody. Don't go down the middle aisles at all. Shop the perimeter. That's it. Shop the perimeter of the store. Everything down the middle aisles, don't put in your body. That's it. Refuse. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago, I decided to do that. Avoid sugar. And not that I don't like ice cream. Avoid sugar and wheat. And lost 60 pounds and kept it off now for 7 years. And best shape of my life. And it's just this sugar stuff is just absolutely, and alcohol is nothing but sugar, by the way. We talked about alcohol last week, didn't we? Alcohol shows you that it causes cancer. Imagine that, eh? And then during COVID, what did Doug Ford and Dr. Bonnie Henry say? Don't worry about it. Lots of weed to buy at the store, lots of alcohol, all available to you.
Lots of takeaway.
And make a cheesecake. I think Doug Ford even put the apron on and showed you how to bake at home.
Not as bad as some in America, though. I think was it the New York governor was like eating the fries and the burger. He's like, "We'll get your COVID vax."
Yeah, you get a free cheeseburger with the vaccine. Some guy was getting like 11. He got 11 cheeseburgers. Like, yikes. And here's another study: unhealthy foods cheaper than healthy equivalents. Study finds. Again, no shite Sherlock. That you didn't need to do a study to do that one. Just walk down the grocery store aisle. Go to the United States and go to Sonic Burger. You can buy, like, they basically got a dollar menu that's just full of stuff you shouldn't eat.
But this is also the case that, this is the study behind what we obviously know and can see with our own eyes. But it's related to class, isn't it, to an extent? Like obesity is now predominantly something that poorer people suffer from.
Yeah, Coca-Cola.
And obviously that used to be very much the other way around.
I was going to say Coca-Cola. I had a Coca-Cola addiction. I used to do 5, 6 a day. And well, I would even venture into the Pepsi, whatever carbonated colas there was. I was pounding those. And then I thought I should stop drinking those, and I switched to iced coffees. And again, you just don't know sometimes. And I think I was fairly intelligent, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't lose weight.
Well,
I basically had an IV tube of sugar.
Yeah.
Polyev wants to backs petition to end DEI, wants to restore the merit principle. And again, that is like what that guy in the Israeli parliament there said, is that we need to stop this wokeism. Like, this should be common sense. We shouldn't have to have a a petition to stop it, should we? But apparently we do.
It's politically valuable, though, isn't it, to certainly the Liberal Party and some other parties to offer this. And I'm sure if Polyev wants to ride this bull and he wants to actually take it on and make noise about it, then he's going to be accused of all kinds of things.
Oh, the CBC has already got the
others.
stories probably ready to go. They're probably just going to recycle some of them in the past. They're going to label them everything there is. Just watch the CBC go to work on this one. Taylor Swift will be moved down the line on her thing. And we got a few things left to go, though. So we got the BC news here, though. Are we doing an intro?
Coming to you live from the Now Media Newsroom.
I did the interview last week with Gavin Dew and asked him, like, as bad as David Eby is doing on so many files, health, the economy, crime, the decriminalization of drugs, like, there's so many pots that are boiling over on the stove. And I said, as bad as he's doing, people go look over to the Conservative Party and they say, well, there's not much an alternative out here. And he said that they were at the UBCM and they were told by a lot of business leaders that they need to get their shit together. You got to go read that, watch the interview. It's a good one to watch. I also interviewed last week, I interviewed Jeff Moyse, Aboriginal lawyer, I think he worked for the government for 31 years. And then now he's in private practice there, 33 years doing this. And he said that, and I asked Brenda Bailey about it when I interviewed Brenda Bailey about the uncertainty. We talked about certainty, what people need. And I said, like the Richmond decision there, the awarding of that private land to the Cowichan Nation there brings uncertainty to private lands. And she said, she's quick to defend that they're appealing it. But according to Jeff Moyse there, they allowed it to happen by not arguing properly on the case. So
she just ignored that part of your question where you alluded to the refusal to argue for extinguishment. She just ignored that bit, didn't she? Didn't
they don't like
talk
that.
about it.
They don't like that, right? Because then you have to actually answer, and that's the thing. Credit to Brenda Bailey, though. I did ask for that interview, and credit to the BC NDP. They've, because the Liberals, we can't even get an answer to an email. Brenda Bailey, that's the second time I've interviewed. It takes a lot to get, and we're going to keep pushing for more. It takes a lot to get an interview from them, but at least she showed up. Asked for 30 minutes. I got 15, and then she cut me off there because I had a lot more questions to ask. But obviously, you take what you can get. But again, Stephen Guilbeault, I don't know how many times we've asked for interviews with Stephen Guilbeault, and we don't even get a response to an email. So the Liberals do not wish to be held accountable. They control the media. They control who has access to them, and they cripple media. That is the problem in Canada. I mean, I keep saying it. Most people don't believe it, maybe, or they just think I'm just being, I don't know what they think I'm being. But I also interviewed an insolvency trustee here in British Columbia for NMP, financial strain, driving British Columbians to make difficult trade-offs. So you got to go watch that interview as well. It's not looking good for the average British Columbian. And we have to do more. And then we're breaking records of hot and cold. I don't know, like climate change, global warming, all these things, right? But we got some new record cold temperatures here. So I don't know if that bodes well for what winter's bringing, but cost of energy, not great. We've seen Bella Bella set a new record. A whole bunch of places had some colder temperatures for this time of the year. So
Cornell there beat a record that went back to 1910, which is pretty amazing, isn't it?
My furnace quit. I think it was like 16, 17 years. Furnace quit last week, and so they taken, like, I don't know, it still isn't in. So it's like camping right now in the house. So it gets down pretty chilly at night. So you just got to load the blankets on, and it's like camping. When you can see your breath while you're sleeping, right? So
wow, that's at least it's now though, and not a couple of months from now.
It's been 6 or 7 days as we wait for this new furnace. It's supposed to be sometime this week. So interesting times for sure. I can't believe it takes that long to get a new furnace, though.
Yeah, you'd think it would be like an emergency.
Apparently not. And this is the guy we deal with all the time, because I just had a new air conditioner put in the summer because it quit too. I had a heat pump, and the heat pump failed. Like, it was relatively new heat pump, and he said, "Yeah, don't put a heat pump here in the Okanagan." He said they just always fail. I'm like, thanks.
God.
I listened to Justin and I put one in. Turns out it was bad advice.
Stephen Gilboa as well. He likes them.
CNN bewildered that Trump was able to speak. This is what I said earlier in the show. Speak plainly to people. Here's CNN trying to figure out how it is that Trump is. Let's listen in.
Another comment the president made on his way to Israel aboard Air Force One. He was asked if the ceasefire deal will help him get into heaven, which is, I got to say, I've been in the press pool. It is a unique question to ask a president of the United States. However, his response was also unique. Take a listen.
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
Look, as somebody else who may have a hard time with this same topic, I would just say that it's really interesting when you hear him say this, because it makes him a regular guy.
It definitely
Democrat,
does.
it really makes me upset, because folks flip it, making, what do you say, lie to yourself. I do that a lot. Other folks, he's just been a regular. They've all covered me and pulled out everything I've ever done in my life, so maybe I'm not going to have a straight shot all the way to heaven. It makes him really, really like a regular folks, and as a Democrat, it makes me hate it.
I think Chuck is 100% correct. I mean, like my grandfather used to say, when people say, I'm a Christian, he said, wow, you've already accomplished it. It's a lifelong journey. We're all imperfect. The president recognized that. And to Chuck's point, for regular people, they say, hell, I don't know if I'm going to get to heaven, but I'm certainly trying every single day. It's relatable. It's why people like him.
I mean, my follow-up question would be, what did you do that makes you think you're not getting in?
Yeah. Well, he's done some cheeky things, hasn't he? But definitely another thing that they didn't mention there, but I think they sort of implied it, is that it's a moment of humility from somebody who's not known for that. And that is another sort of connection with the average American.
You know what? The thing is, any politicians listening, I know you have your people listening for sure. I know Chrystia Friedland listens. Is that just be honest. Just start being honest. Like this lying and virtue signaling, it gets you nowhere, because people are tired of it. They're absolutely tired of it. And we got a clip here to play a message for you from Charlemagne the God here. But here's a clip here. This is what ran in the. This is what is juxtaposition to what like the Democrats and the liberals calling Donald Trump and Elon Musk a Nazi. This ran in the Jerusalem Post here. God bless the peacemaker.
Wow.
So right there, they put a Nazi on the front page of the Jerusalem Post. Imagine that, eh?
They've lost their way, clearly, in Israel. They can't recognize a Nazi anymore.
Here's advice, again, for the people that listen for what we have to say, for the conservatives and the liberals and the NDP. This message is for you, from Charlemagne the God.
Donald Trump shows me what's politically possible. Trump shows me what presidents can do if they want to do it. Donald Trump shows me what can be said if you are willing to say it. It's not about what can't be done. It's about who has the political will to do it. I don't want to hear a peep from Democrats about nothing until they get the balls to say what's really on their mind in regards to this country and this world. Trump doesn't care if it sounds ridiculous. Trump doesn't care if it makes sense. It's no political correctness whatsoever. As I've been saying for years, the language of politics is dead, and Donald Trump killed it. Period.
Well, wow.
Donald Trump shows me.
That's good. There you go. You said it too. Woke. The woke liberals are politicians of the past, and we just need the Canadian people to catch up. And we've seen that in the States. They're basically putting themselves into oblivion. Really, they've put themselves in a spot that I don't know if there's a coming back from. But we're going to skip this next one here. It was Netanyahu. We kind of did a lot on that. NATO ridicules Russia's submarine after claim of technical problems. The head of NATO has ridiculed the Russians after one of their country's submarines was said to have forced to resurface in the English Channel due to technical problems. Mark Rutte said the diesel-powered diesel-class sub there was forced to come up for air near France, adding, "What a change from 1984 Tom Clancy novel of Hunt for Red October." Guess who else has diesel subs that make so much noise that you can hear them around on the other side of the world? Canada.
And that have also had technical problems as well.
Yeah, including lighting on fire as we bought them in the UK garage sale. And again, remember, Melanie Jolie says, we can build boats, we can build. We're not building those either. Remember, Stephen Fear says we could build them, but we don't want to because we got other things to build. I have no idea.
It's also funny that the guy delivering this message is Mark Rutte, if you want to give him his proper Dutch pronunciation, who used to be the prime minister not very long ago, was prime minister of the Netherlands. Like, how many subs has the Netherlands got? What's the Netherlands military look like? Obviously, not much. When he delivers this joke, it's sort of the premise of the joke, as Mark Carney would explain it, is that NATO's big and beefy and strong and has great equipment. But that's kind of a push, isn't it? That's pushing the truth a bit. America has great equipment and sophisticated technology and all the rest of it. It's not the little, the little ants such as Mark Rutte's Netherlands.
Again, I would say because Canada is going to build 9 more diesel electric subs for that matter. Like, buy one nuclear sub, buy one, instead of 9 things that can't compete. Like, come on. Come on. This is your big chance here. Do I have the clip here for it? I don't know if I have the clip here for this. Kamala Harris was saying that she, in her debate with Donald Trump, said that you can't trust Donald Trump on foreign policy because he's weak. That did not age well. That did not age well, Kamala. Kamala Harris on a book tour, though. What's that?
I also remember, do you remember how at the time when so many people in the media were fawning over Kamala Harris, I remember that was dissected, wasn't it, that moment in the debate? And they were like, yeah, she really got him there. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, I'm not so sure she did. And obviously she didn't, according to the American people.
That's a real head scratcher there, that Kamala Harris would be tougher on foreign policy. She would, no, anyway.
Well, she also called him like a Russian stooge as well, which is something that Democrats have loved doing for a long time. And when we observe the lay of the land now, it doesn't really look like Trump's a Russian stooge at all. He's threatening Putin almost every day.
This may fire some people up, but I still believe Elon Musk may well have saved the Western world by buying X and freeing social media from censorship of the Biden administration and Kamala Harris. And if he didn't do that, we may have a completely different result in a completely different world today. At least we're fighting back for freedoms here. Kamala Harris, if you want to see her, though, she's coming to a place near you. November 16th. I'm trying to sell her tickets. Conversation with Kamala Harris at the Meridian Hall there in Toronto.
Toronto.
Who doesn't want to go there?
I wonder what the audience will be like there. I wonder
if you buy a VIP ticket, You even get a free book and a photo op with her. Who doesn't want a photo op with Kamala Harris? Who doesn't?
Wow. You get to be in the vicinity.
And if you're not in Toronto, notice all these Democratic cities where you can go. They're not cheap tickets either. Like, I think some of the tickets in Toronto are like $5,000. So basically, I don't know. Like, she's trying to pay for that election. Like, that title of that book should be 107 Days to Blow $1.5 billion.
In brackets, put that last bit in brackets.
And then,
but it's like she grew up in Montreal, didn't she? Or at least partly grew up in Montreal. Why has she not gone there?
Feed your friends. Feed your friends cash money and get them to come out and endorse you. Cash money. There you go. So there's your chance. You can go watch Kamala speak in Toronto.
Breathe the same air as
Toronto.
Greatness.
She can impose some of her policies on you, and then you can figure out Tim Walz. I mean, I would pay good money to go watch Tim Walz and Justin Trudeau. Cage match.
Trudeau would be a funny
cage
one.
Match.
Yeah, cage match.
Because doesn't Tim Walz say he's a tough guy?
I believe that he did. Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, he presents himself as the kind of old American man.
Did you see the X-ray there of Macron's hand after the handshake with Trump again? Macron's always doing that hand. There's a good little meme. I didn't put it in, but there's a good meme out there with Macron's hand all mangled. I don't know why those two got that thing going on, but Trump always manhandles him, though.
I think Trump really dislikes him, to be honest. That's my impression.
But it's always this push and pull and push and pull and push and pull thing, and Macron
Trudeau as well. He did it.
He's got to be like like half his age, and he's letting the old man beat him up.
Half his size, though, as well.
There you go. That's our show for today. I do have lots going on today, though. Lots going on. We have Macklin McCall in at 11 o'clock from the BC Conservative MLA here from West Kelowna. He'll be in. And then we have the Bitcoin show later in the day. Bitcoin down a bit. This last little bit of turmoil here with what China had to say and some opportunities maybe. So Macklin McCall. See if they're getting their shite together. That's our show today, though. Like, share, if you can help us get it out there, because Stephen Guilbeault says, that everybody's spending money on Facebook, including the Liberal government, but they don't want to tell you how much they're spending because obviously that's a secret. And then Jolie says we're going to build boats. I'm not sure when. She didn't say when, I guess, right? Because China's going to build their boats, and then I think who's building the subs? Germany?
Haven't decided yet, have they?
Are they
Either Korea or Germany.
Are they going to buy some German U-boats from the Second World War that are still sitting in a museum?
Maybe we can lift them up from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and refit them.
They did say, I did see a piece on one of the networks this morning showing that the F-35 dream is still alive. We just haven't made a decision. Harper ordered those back in before he left, and they were delayed, and that's what we constantly do, delay. By the time we do it, we'll be buying them used from somebody, I guess.
Yeah. Let's hope they work.
What's that?
Let's hope that they work.
Yeah. Okay, that's our show. See you tomorrow, 9 o'clock, and if you can spread the word, that'd be great. We appreciate it. And thank you for watching Now Media.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.